All right, so I'm sitting on my half pipe that I just built, and I'm really proud of it. That's why I'm sitting on it. Today we're going to talk about 9 elements of my life motto. And these are a couple things that I've learned along my journey. Hopefully they can help you too. A lot of things that really have, kind of solidified in my mind over the past few years. And I think they're incredibly important to share because I wish that I knew them when I was in my 20s. I created this list. I'm going to read them off and then kind of give you my high level thoughts on each one of these things. And so number 1 is happiness is not a destination. It's something that you must foster in the present moment each day by grounding yourself in gratitude. As I get older, I think how incredibly important it is to not lose sight of that gratitude for literally just living, living in a society that we do, or having the type of opportunities that we do that maybe our, family members didn't have when they were growing up, or even simple things like having a refrigerator, having air conditioning on a hot day, right? Like, it's so easy for us to lose sight of some of these things to be grateful for because they're just common conveniences that we have right now, like a roof over our heads, or electricity, right? Like just turning a light on at night, or plumbing, for God's sake, right? And so I think about that a lot every day, like all of the things that I'm grateful for. And the baseline gratitude for me is like literally electricity and other things, right? Like I start there. I don't start with thank God I have a high paying job. Like I start at the bottom of gratitude. I'm like, thank God I have a roof over my head, just in general. And that gives me a good baseline. So that's number 1. Number 2, happiness cannot be achieved through the acquisition of money. The only thing that money provides is a sense of security and leverage. If you don't ground yourself in the first point, then mo money, mo problems. For those of you who know the reference to that, let me know in the comments. I keep thinking about this topic of like money and happiness, and there's a couple videos that I have on this topic, and I've become a lot more passionate about it because I think that money serves a purpose, but money does not buy happiness. It's never gonna make you content unless your mindset was already in that position of being content in the first place. Number 3, you will work hard in any job, so you might as well maximize the shit out of your earning potential. But remember, this has nothing to do with happiness. It's merely strategic. When I was working at Best Buy in 2014, because I had no money, because I was broke, because I was in a really bad spot from the failure of my second business, and I think about where I'm at today and I compare it to, when I was working at Best Buy or other jobs that I've had in the past. And there's no real difference from making $12 an hour at Best Buy, which is what I was making, versus what I'm doing today, right? Like I get paid exponentially more money and I'm not working any harder. And sometimes I think there's this myth in society where like, oh, well, if you make a ton of money, you're gonna have way more stress and way more problems, or you're gonna work way more hours, and that's not necessarily the case. So I think it's really important to look around and find ways to maximize the shit out of your earning potential, because no matter what, you're gonna be working hard. So you might as well try to make as much money as physically possible. And that's why I often talk about getting a job in big tech, because there's no other industry where you can make as much money, at least that I know of, as you can at a top tech company. So that's that. Number 3 down. Number 4, live super simple. The more you make, the more you simplify. I live in a 900 square foot house behind me. It is a rental. I pay $1,400 a month. I do not own this property, and I'm living so simple. I'm living well below my means, right? I made a conscious decision that as I was going to make, or as I was making way more money, I was going to live way more simply. And what's interesting is when I moved back to Denver, I used to live in this very house when I was broke. And it's really funny how in a couple years I moved back into this very house. And my mindset when I used to live in this house was, I can't wait until I have enough money to buy an incredible house and to get out of this little house. I didn't want to live in this little house, right? This little house was symbolism for me that I wasn't making it. And it's so funny now that I'm in this position where the only thing I wanted to do was live in this very house, to live incredibly simply and to not have any stress, right? The whole point of working really hard and making a lot of money is to de-stress, not to increase your stress, not to increase the amount of problems that you have. And that gets me to point number 5, which is leverage the shit out of what you save into smart investments that give you the opportunity to eventually say, I work because I want to, not because I need to. I think the mental model in the United States and Western world is work till you're 65 and then, retire and then maybe do some things, have real freedom or real financial freedom when, you're older. But when you're older, you can't guarantee that you're going to be in good health. I think it's important to think about your exit strategy early on in the game, especially like right when you're in your 20s. There's a couple things that I would have done, differently as far as like savings and making some smart investments. So I think when you land at a top tech company, you can save a ton of money and you put that into some smart investments so that you don't have to work at all and you can make the decisions on whether or not you want to work or not. If the politics are getting too crazy in your day job, you can say, fuck it, I'm out. I don't need this shit anymore. Number 6, life is damn short. Start chipping away at your dream right now. Start chipping away at your dream with urgency, okay? Because, it's funny, when I was in my 20s, I was like, I'd have all the time in the world to make pivots and do whatever the hell I want. But now I'm approaching 40 and I'm thinking to myself, where did the time go, right? And that's what is going to wind up happening to you. Like, time is going to accelerate very quickly after your 20s. And all of a sudden you're 40 and you're 50 and you're 60 plus, and you don't have that time, right? So if you have a dream in mind, whatever it is, right? Even if you think that somebody else is gonna think it's silly, it's so important to actually go out there and do it, whatever it is, right? There's your day job, and then there's the night job. The night job can be your passion project, right? It doesn't have to be one decision, one singular thing that you wind up focusing on in life. You can make a decision to follow 2 paths, and the goal would be for those paths to converge at some point and to have everything condensed into something that is purely 100% you, and you can monetize you, just you. And I talk a lot about personal branding, right? And growing your personal brand. And people are like, well, I don't know where to start. And, if you're interested in kind of learning about that, I have a couple videos, just kind of in my mental model about like how to start and why it's so important. It's because it's not about the followers, or it's not about, the likes or the shares or anything like that. What personal branding is all about, what growing your dream is all about, is starting somewhere, right? And recognizing that it's a long game, and it's a long game for anybody who plays it. That brings me to point number 7, which is don't give a shit about what anybody thinks of you. When you're trying to pursue something that is your dream, a lot of people are going to judge you, right? Maybe it's not the path that your parents wanted you to take, right? In a lot of cultures, parents want to make you be a doctor or a lawyer. And if you're neither one of those things, then you're kind of disowned in the family, right? You're not up to their standards, right? You're not up to the standards of what they perceive to be as happiness. But at the end of the day, you can't care about what your family think of you. Ultimately, you would hope that they would value whatever decision that you made. But if they don't, you can't care about that, right? Like, you have to do what's in your heart. The comments from friends and family can cut pretty deep oftentimes, right? Or if you're trying to build a personal brand, right? Comments from perfect strangers often can even cut deeper because you don't even know who the hell they are, and they're able to just say things behind, an ambiguous profile, right? Their real name is not right there. They can just use a handle. But I think what winds up happening when you put yourself out there enough is you really stop caring about what other people think. People talk shit about the hats that I wear in my videos, and I'm like, look, whatever. Like, I don't give a shit about your thoughts, right? If you don't like my hats, then like, don't watch my videos. Go somewhere else. Or if you love my hats, awesome. Leave it in the comments. Number 8, this one's really important. There are 2 resumes in life, one for work and one for family. The most important resume has nothing to do with your day job. The resume at work, it's just strategic. You're just playing a game. You're trying to make as much money as possible. But at the end of the day, the resume that you create with your family, the time that you spend with them, the time you devote to them, is so much more important than anything you could ever do at work, right? Like, at the end of the day, all the shit that you do at work is bullshit in comparison to the resume that you should be building and fostering at home. And so, I was so driven, so focused for so many years on like the resume, right? Like, we put so much importance on like the achievements we've had in our career. Like, they validate us. They validate our sense of self-worth and self-esteem, because it's a thing that everybody sees on the exterior, right? Oh, what do you do for a living, right? Oh, what's your day job? What kind of car do you drive, right? But they don't see the family life, right? They don't see the resume bullet points or the achievements from a family perspective, and those are so much more valuable. And number 9, the last one, is we are not our goals, we are not our job titles or the things we own. We are already enough. You are already enough. And I learned this important lesson when I was going through a struggle in 2014, right? When I was broke and trying to kind of refigure out my life. And I had to kind of understand who I was without a car, who I was without a fancy job title, who I was without the things that I owned. At the time, I owned this $7,500 watch, which, I think about it now and I think, why would I have purchased a watch that is $7,500? Because I wanted to be validated, right? I wanted to be validated by people around me. That was the only reason I would buy a watch like that. And when all of that stuff had to be sold and I no longer had those things, right? Those external things that I could kind of associate my name to, I was like, well, who the hell am I without all this shit? And what I realized was, I'm just John. Like, I'm just me. I'm already enough. I don't need to be validated by a job title or society or anything like that. And it was the hugest weight lifted off of my shoulders. And it's one of the reasons why I've been able to kind of make the mental progression to live so simply and come back to a house like this and say, I've never been more content in my life to live in a place like this and to have one car and just to not really want to buy anything, right? Like, I just don't want anything. And so, those are the 9. I hope this video can help you. It's really off the cuff. It's really unplanned, and I just had a couple bullet points that I wanted to talk through. So we'll catch you on the next video. Enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, wherever you're at. And that's it. A lot more videos coming for you. Talk to you soon.